Mr. and Miss America, all the ships at sea. This is Ed Sheehan for Colony Confidential.
What's up, everybody? It's Joey Sauce, the boss, Colony Confidential. We're here today with some of our favorite people. We have Lorne Setteroff returning from Search Kings, and we have James Rocca from Nerds That Care. We are going to be talking about artificial intelligence, how it specifically relates to home services and pest control, and all the other rabbit holes we can go down. So Lorne and James, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Good to see you guys again. Hi, Ed.
Nice to see you guys.
Same here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate having this discussion today. Really excited to be here.
Due to my IT ignorance, I had to go out to James's office. I don't know if they told you.
Oh,
yeah, because it's one thing. You have this. Is it up in the right-hand corner? Press that button. Like, Jesus. I told him I'm coming out. And Matt and Dan were very gracious and very helpful. So hats off to them before we start. But I'm mentioning because I know about this I heard about it. But there's always that personal stuff that I used a lot, but that was a long time ago before anything like that came out. But they were really good to me. It felt good when I was leaving. I don't know what they did, but the thing is working. I know how to use it. I'm good now. So.
Hey, I love hearing that. And nothing artificial about those guys. When you come to a person face to face, nothing beats that. But we'll certainly talk about how artificial intelligence can streamline many things. Of course, efficiency for sure. Great hearing that, Ed. And then thanks for coming out to our office.
Yeah.
So
for the first time, I think in any of our lifetimes, we've spoken about disruption a lot. And normally you see disruption in a certain sector or very specific, like Uber to taxis and things of that nature. But artificial intelligence, and correct me if I'm wrong, again, me and Ed are the most ignorant when it comes to technology. This is probably the first disruption that is global, if you will. It's going to disrupt every sector, right?
Yeah, as I see it, certainly this is the biggest disruption for sure since the internet, if not earlier. And when you listen to guys like Bill Gates talking about this as the biggest disruption in his lifetime, we should be ready, and we should be just devouring whatever information we can to figure out where's the advantage here. Because from what I'm seeing is you're either going to use it or close your eyes, and someone else is going to use it and have a superior product to you. So you got to play by the rules. It's like sometimes our customers, they say, "Oh, I hate using Google. I don't want them to have my information, or I don't want to have to play by their terms." Someone else is finding 100 new customers that month because they are playing by the rules, whether they like it or not. So AI is here, and as we see it, we needed to move quick in order to be ahead of this massive change to all industries, really.
So since artificial intelligence, I hate to say since it started because it's been around, but since this rapid pace has begun, how often is it changed? James, in the IT sector, James is a company, Nerds That Care, is a managed service provider. They do all of our IT. And again, Search Kings is,
Okay.
relax. Ed's correcting me on who's who, like, I don't know. Lorne from Search Kings is more towards the marketing. You've heard us speak with Lorne before when Google Guarantee was a big thing and whatnot. But as far as cutting edge, like, James, how rapid is it changing? And Lorne, after James, same question. How rapid is it changing in your area?
Yeah, it's changing very quickly. I think some of the easiest things to understand are some of these chat bots, for example. We're in the support business. Getting a live person on the phone as companies grow is sometimes difficult and maybe not the most efficient manner to support your customers, especially when they're looking for a very simple answer. So nowadays, you can go on to many websites have this already. A lot of customer service engines are built into this where you're asking a question. You think you're chatting with a live person, but in fact, it's really an artificial intelligence bot. And I think the biggest craze right now, and we'll get into a bunch of different solutions today, but ChatGPT is certainly taking the world by storm. And if you don't know what ChatGPT is right now, it's this AI engine where you literally could ask it any question, and not just any question. My industry is asking it for code, right? For programming language code. How do you write a script to automate whatever it is, a task that you used to do manually? And it spits it out in 4 seconds. We're not talking like this is like an hour and I got to wait. This is instant. So the instant gratification that you're getting from how to become more efficient in any kind of way, especially around automation, is built into this amazing engine that's out there right now and freely available, of course, for anybody to use, called ChatGPT.
So 1 second, Lauren, do you know what ChatGPT is?
That's where I can't do something and it says you press a button for help and you ask a question and then they tell you,
Nope.
okay.
Yeah, sometimes that's fine. No, that's good. Sometimes it's okay to say you're not, like, you don't just have to pretend.
I don't know.
There you go.
It's fine.
So ChatGPT, I'll explain it from, Lauren, you go
Why
next.
don't you let
We'll
him
get into
explain
chat.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing for ChatGPT is it has access to all the information on the internet, but it's not a reference library the way you might think Google is, right? When you ask Google a question about how to fix a washing machine, it's going to reference websites, videos on YouTube, etc. What ChatGPT does is create unique content for you, and AI does this across platforms based on your search query or what you need. So if you explain to AI what you're looking for, it can create custom content. So you have a problem with your customer communication, you want to put out an email to all your customers. Typically, you would write that email, show it to someone, maybe use an ad extension or an app extension to try to customize it. With ChatGPT, you could explain your goal. We're Colony Pest Management. We're in Brooklyn. Our customer base is typically between this age and this age. The message we're trying to give out is ABC. Make it sound professional, but casual. Okay, all of those. And now it produces that email for you. And then you simply have to say, make it shorter. And they'll take all the messaging from before, and now they'll make it shorter. Throw in a joke about mice in New York City into the email to keep the conversation casual. Now it does that. Make it a more formal email. So it's ghostwriting for you and the only limitation is your ability to prompt it with exactly what you want. We're also using it on the operations side. Anything that you're doing that is operational, you can start to teach AI what you do and what you need, and it can start to produce those spreadsheets for you, the code for the spreadsheet, you name it. You have to learn how to ask it for what you need. That's the learning, because if you just say, write me an email to tell my customers that we're closed on the holidays, it's going to give you a pretty standard email. But throw in a joke about Memorial Day or acknowledge their summer, the temperature or whatever, it's going to produce a higher quality of email. So it's incredibly disruptive.
We are using ChatGPT for performance improvement plans. We're taking the team members' behavioral assessment and adding that in writing. We're having these issues. We want to make them better using XYZ criteria. And here's their behavioral assessment to base it off of. And like you said, James, it spit it out in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then we just went through it and tweaked it.
I use it all the time. I'll type an email to a customer, to an employee, to the whole group here of employees, and I'll just type it into ChatGPT and I'll say, rewrite this email for me. And sometimes I got to dumb it down a little bit because sometimes it makes me sound too smart, and then not my writing style, which is okay, right? Because sometimes you just miss some of those things and some important items that you want to include. And it really spits out a really nice professional version of yourself. It just sounds great. And you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to write, but I couldn't get there on my own. And instead of taking 10 minutes to write a simple email, now you have your time back. So it's an amazing tool.
Yeah, and back to Lauren's point about the detail, in that email or in anything, you could probably say, gear it towards an 8th grade reading level. or something of that nature, and then it will dumb it down, if you will, from a
Yep.
higher level. It's insane.
An example of that, Joe, is you would feed it 2 or 3 of your previous emails that you've put out so that the machine learns your style. And then say, write me another email, but these are the topics, but keep my style the same. That's how kids are getting busted in school, because they're not including the, hey, these are my previous capabilities. Now write me another one. It's like all of a sudden they're writing like an esteemed author.
Yeah, it's incredible. Even if you wanted to write a book, right? Everyone, there's a lot of people out there that do want to be an aspiring author, right? Or have always dreamed about writing a book. I actually have that dream. Now I could use this tool to develop a ton of content that will take me weeks and months to probably come up with. And I have it in one day if I want it to be. Obviously, there's probably some legality conversations around some of that, but do your research accordingly. But here we go.
Yeah.
Let me give you one more. You see what's happening in Hollywood right now. You have the actors and the writers combining their efforts on strike, because what's basically happening is you can provide AI with all of, fill in the actor's name, Jim Carrey, okay, all of his previous work, and say, produce for me a new movie that is about these 7 things: the apocalypse coming, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, this, that, the typical. And AI can produce a movie that Jim Carrey didn't spend 1 minute on, that the audience will think Jim Carrey is starring in. And Jim Carrey doesn't make a cent. So the actors and writers are in a mode here where they need to protect their previous work in order for AI not to produce replication ultimately, without anyone making any money besides the person who prompted machine learning to do it.
So essentially, the attorneys are going to make out the most from artificial intelligence.
You got that right.
Sounds familiar.
So just real quick question, going back to the chatbots that was mentioned. Lauren, we spoke about this in the past, how Google wanted live people answering the phones. That was probably like a year or so ago when we spoke. Is artificial intelligence going to be able to scam Google on that?
This is hypothetical because we haven't seen a virtual assistant, I guess we would call it, that replicates human voice inside. We don't have any customers right now yet that are answering the phone with someone that you would think is a real person, that is indeed an AI. Once that happens, we'll have intel into, does Google's AI pick up on it and deem it to be not a real person? Ultimately, my guess here, Google wins. Who has more resources than Google, right? So
Yeah.
In marketing right now, in lead generation, Google evaluates quality of answering of calls. Just to give us all context here, they evaluate your speed to answer and then the results of the call, right? Because they have access to that. We don't know yet, but if a virtual bot wants to enter that space of handling leads coming in, there's something to talk about there, but we would be watching it very closely on an account level to see how does Google respond to that with their ranking.
Okay. So, James, you have a ton of different clients in the service field, like pest control, plumbing, HVAC, everything like that. What are you seeing the biggest changes that AI is having on services?
Yeah, I think it's just the machine learning itself. As you start feeding and start giving it more content, it's going to be able to produce better results for business owners to make better decisions for their customers, for their clientele. One of the industries, maybe a little bit closely I can relate to, is the food industry. Imagine an event where you're planning tons of food for, say, thousands of guests, right? As you start to learn how much food you need, how many drinks you need to serve, there's so much less waste that's going to happen from all the learning that's going on with some of these tools. I think in your industry, Joe, as it relates to some of the work that you guys are doing, I think that the amount of solutions that you deliver, whether it's the traps, whether it's the poison, whether it's how you're laying out what needs to be done from a pest control side of things, less waste for you, less turnover of product or people are going to be something that you're going to be able to really predict a lot better than potentially ever before with all this information that's coming. So I think it's really the wealth of information that's gathered and the future prediction of the resources that you need, that the resources that business owners need, produces less waste. That obviously affects your bottom line. You can make better business decisions that way with a lot of these tools that are coming. A little bit in our industry now, we're looking to switch some of our tools to having our customer service platform integrated with ChatGPT and other AI aspects to provide a better experience to our customers. And now our team, for example, has to write less content. It's canned, it's there, it's given to them. We can not expect so much what the customer is going to say, but we almost can predict what's going to happen and what some of the outcomes are for what we're doing. So I think it's unpredictable right now a little bit, but I think ultimately it's going to cause much more efficiency for those types of businesses. Even like scheduling, right? You have a plumber that needs to go from Riverhead on Long Island to Manhattan. Maybe he has 5 stops around the island. What's the most efficient way for me to get there? We could all look at a map, right? But that takes time. Now the AI software can just spit out the best route for you to go here first, actually, because the traffic is going to be worse this way. There's so many ways that you can look at it, but I think ultimately we're talking about efficiency, savings, and more profit for businesses.
Yeah. So going back to what you're talking about in the pest control industry. So leading up to this for the past, I want to say 15 years, there's been technology that you basically go and it's all electronic. It started as ERM, electronic rodent monitoring. Now they have stuff that takes pictures of fly machines. You could set it to every 30 seconds. And when you get it, or when a mouse or a rat or an insect goes into a trap, through heat signatures and touch points, it can tell you, obviously by size, if it's a rat, mouse, or some type of insect. And then you would dispatch your team accordingly. But the biggest piece for us, aside from cost, was analyzing the data, right? Like so you have 1,000 customers and you have all of this data coming in and you have a human trying to analyze it. One, what was the process going to be to analyze it? What were you going to do after you analyzed it? Now I imagine we can use the AI and just say, here's what I want, speaking back to what Lorne said, here's exactly what I want to do with this data for customer A, or even take it a step further. If you're on the platinum plan, this is how we analyze platinum data, and this is how you dispatch technicians to the platinum customer, and then so on and so forth down the road. So that's probably, aside from getting rid of humans, that's probably the most exciting piece of artificial intelligence for me, is to analyze. When I say get rid of humans, I'm joking, but we all know the hardest part of running a small business is dealing with the team and the human aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure.
3 hours a day and still get paid for 8.
You make a great point about the data. So if you have a lot of customers in a concentrated area and you're reporting that there's a lot of pest activity there, marketing to those neighborhoods, right? Marketing to that geographic location is something that you wouldn't know about. Again, it would be very difficult for a human to analyze that as quickly as, of course, AI could. And now you have an entire new marketing feed here, or tons of sales opportunities, I should say, in those geographic locations that maybe you weren't aware of previously. Yeah, it's a great point. It's all about analyzing the data quickly and efficiently to deliver the best customer experience for what you do.
Yeah, so you said a great word, marketing. That was a layup for Lorne. Because Lorne, you guys are doing some fun stuff with marketing and AI, right?
Yeah. So first of all, just going back to your point about how to utilize it with labor, like the key to AI is you can keep teaching it. So it can continue to learn what you need, as opposed to think about buying a software out of the box, where you utilize its capabilities, you get trained up on it, and then you essentially are limited by its capabilities. Right? You can only use it to a certain extent. With AI, you can keep teaching it what you want based on how you're using it already. So you can continue to utilize it and grow with it. An example is what we're doing is essentially we have called about 5,000 accounts that we manage. Okay. These are lead generation accounts. A customer may have an account, they're trying to generate rodent leads on Long Island. Okay. And so in the past, we basically are recording those calls. Okay. And then we're spot checking, listening to some, getting an idea of when capacity is an issue, getting an idea when price point's too high, you're losing over price, you're losing over availability, and those are insights that are anecdotal. That costs a lot of time and effort to figure out what's happening inside each home service business to figure out, should we spend $100 a lead, right? You being the business owner, should you spend $100 a lead if you can only close a third of them? Now we're talking about $300 acquisition costs, right? And all of this was very anecdotal based on listening to the calls coming in and seeing how much money you're spending. What we've built is essentially an ability to score calls based on revenue opportunity of the call, and also provide insights into where is the lost acquisition coming from. So is it capacity? Is it price? Is it lack of ability to schedule? Listen to calls and you realize that the person answering the phone is just a glorified answer taker. They're not actually confirming, yep, we're going to come out in the next 24 hours and we'll call you on the way. And so the tool that we've built, basically think of it like an X-ray machine into all calls coming into the business that you want to analyze. They could be your calls from different paid marketing sources, or a mailer, or a billboard on the side of the highway, or whatever. All of a sudden now those calls are being scored for revenue opportunity based on customer intent. Okay. Not necessarily based on how well you answer it, just score them based on revenue opportunity. So we know, listen, Google guarantee is making you're getting 80% of your calls are great from that source. We just analyzed your Yelp and your Angie's along the way, and we're at 50, 60%. Move your money around, right? So this is a great chance. We actually were looking at some accounts where Google guarantee quality was lower than Google pay-per-click. And that allowed us to start moving the money in the right direction for profitability. Then the training of the office staff comes from the summaries that we're producing of caller was calling because they're seeing mice. Office staff explained that there was no time to come out today, and that if they were interested, they should call back tomorrow. So then you can look at that and see, okay, now that's a training opportunity for us. So you can integrate this into your performance plans, right? Because you know who answered the phone and you know what their response was. And at a click, you can listen to the call to confirm, yep, AI was scoring this one accurately.
So I imagine that setting that up is setting up where you're getting all your calls from, right? Google, Yelp. Is what you're doing able to track? So in our CRM, we have different associations that we're members of, or networking group. Is there, for AI to track that, there would need to be something over the phone? Would it catch when the CSR says, where'd you get our information from? If they say LinkedIn or the Emerald Guild.
Think of that as spotting a keyword in the transcript, okay, in the call. That is so subjective and not really utilizing the capability of AI. So all we need to do is basically say, okay, Joe, let's identify 4 of your sources. Okay. This association, this network, this sponsorship deal, wherever you're investing. Okay. All we're going to do is layer on a call tracking number to start. That's on your end. So you tell us where you want the calls to land. We're going to tell you what number to show. That's the mechanics. Okay. By doing that, we guarantee that source is accurate and that the leads came in through that source. Then analyzing the lead quality and the revenue opportunities from that source is all the AI work and the tech that we built.
So I called someplace and they have this system. They know a lot about me before we even start to talk. They
I don't
know
know.
my, get an idea, economic status, that's what I'm getting. I don't know if I'm right or not, but
That would depend on who you're calling and through a portal. This is net new. You've never heard of them. And they saw you speak at an event, Joe, and you were at a golf tournament where you set up a promo and a sponsored a hole, and on the sign of the hole, you had your phone number and your brand. You know nothing about this person, but now they run a small property management company, and you put a promo on there because of the golf tournament. Reach out and we'll do first month free or whatever. Throw the phone number up. Now we can figure out exactly how many quality calls came from that plan, right? That attempt. Not so much that you're going to know the economic situation or the demographics of that person calling. We don't no way of capturing that. A lot of privacy issues with that. That information is more about your search history, Ed. That's how they're starting to know more about you, is based on your search history and following you. But net new, it's more of how did they get you to start? That's what we're after. And what's the revenue opportunity of the call?
So Lauren, thank you. I forgot that you speak Ed Sheehan. So it's funny, James, part of how we started working together is they told me, don't worry, we'll translate. Because my biggest thing with having an IT company is them explaining something to me and me being like, yeah, I don't get it. With an engineer. And so Matt and James often say, don't worry, we'll translate you to the nerds, and then we'll translate nerd to you. So I got to do that with Ed all the time, because I was just about to explain to him that it's completely different. What Lauren is doing is helping you. Same thing as what James said about efficiency and saving money. Now they're tracking phone calls. It's helping Lauren because his team physically doesn't have to do it. You got it? There'll be a test tomorrow.
I did the same. We advertised. We asked them, where'd you get the,
Right.
And then you was like, wait a minute, this one is not that good. We got to do more in this one because we got to expand the ad because we're really getting a lot of calls from this one. So it narrows the field. The way you do it now is a lot quicker.
And the
I get
training
that.
piece is key. If you realize you lost an account because someone said, we'll call you back, or whatever the case is, then that being able to immediately click on, you need to better your training and not
Right.
say, we can't get there today, but whatever, however you want to train that
Got
CSS.
it.
So and I'm sure if we speak to Lauren in 3 weeks, it'll be even more developed and digging down. And this is available now, Lauren?
Yeah, this we're doing now for a few hundred accounts. Think of the customization here where you have performance plans, right? And you want to tie in, so we can create custom prompts to identify some things that you're looking for in your calls and score accordingly. Okay, that's just customization. For most of our clients, it's show me which revenue stream or which advertising stream is most profitable, so we know where to put, because we got a fixed, call it a fixed 20 grand a month for marketing, right? So if we can show you, go move 15 of it to this direction and spread the other 5 out, it's huge value.
I got a question for you. We have a lot of clients that they'll activate a new phone number, right, for whatever their marketing plan is, different channels, like you were saying. Like, how many phone numbers is too many phone numbers? And can you limit it for a client that, that has 10, I don't know, 1-800 numbers or their area code or what have you? Is there a way to limit some of that and channel that in, knowing where those sources come from?
Yeah, I think there's an element here where there's overkill. The first thing I would say is local numbers you need. I don't want to see a 1-800 number. Customers are thinking corporate, right? Some big company that's going to either outsource it or charge me travel time and all that stuff. So local. And then it's a little bit about thinking about, what do you actually care about? What are you trying to measure with all these numbers? Like, for some clients, it might just be termites versus wildlife, as an example. And that's enough. Or it's by county. We want to see if Suffolk County is more profitable. So we're going to do county level. We can do as many as make sense, but we always push back on, what are we trying to actually learn here? So that we can measure and say at the end of 6 weeks, okay, this is where the money's flowing in from, for sure. Like in plumbing, for example, drains, anytime you're digging, it's more profitable than anything you're just doing essentially above the ground. So it would make sense to see how profitable your drain campaign is. That makes sense. Do you really need it 100 different phone numbers? Probably not.
Cool. Thank you.
Could probably recycle some too, right? Obviously not your Google number or not your very specific number, but you could have an event number, right? Like golf outing, we'll keep this number up until the next golf outing, and then just change the name from Emerald to Manhattan to whatever. So there's got to be a way to rinse and repeat some of the phone numbers to not have too many.
And they're not expensive. Phone numbers are quite inexpensive, but you just want to make sure that they're not these spammy phone numbers that have been resold over and over again.
Yeah. In any industry, not just service or home services, have you been seeing AI plugins to CRMs or a plugin? I don't know the right word, plugins or
Yeah. So the way to think of it from my point of view is it's basically like a concierge. Okay. That's the concept that AI is evolving into. If you teach your AI bot what your business flow is, what you want your customer experience to be, how you want things routed, booked, invoices, and you start investing in teaching the plugin AI bot, it can be taught to automate your processes, and it can be taught to spit out to you what you're looking for. Yeah, that's the concept, is you take this technology and you figure out on an ongoing basis, what do I want it to start doing for me, rather than me just providing it with information. That concierge is, I think, in 6 months to a year, what a CRM platform that moves quick enough will have. But, that takes a lot of effort on both sides, small business owner and the CRM, to build that functionality.
Yeah. James, you started to say something.
I was going to just say APIs. So having that API integration on the software that you're using. And actually, as I first mentioned when we came on the call, we are switching our CRM probably in the next month or so to one that has the AI features built into it. In fact, it could actually start to read the tonality of someone's email, and it starts to track that. So we deal with support requests all day, 130 support requests, Joe. So if you happen to write an angry email to our team, which is okay, we understand you're frustrated, right? It starts to track what was Joe's tone over the course of the 6 months. Maybe we want to cater to that client a little differently, or put them higher up on our urgency scale, right? Or get them a different type of experience. And we can start tracking a lot of that in this new tool that we're switching to. So we take our customer success very seriously at Nerds That Care. And it's one of the main reasons that we're switching away from this CRM that we've been using for probably about a decade or more, actually. And it's the number one CRM that we're currently using that probably most IT providers are using out there. And we're going to be one of the first adopters to this new solution. And we're very excited about it. So we're looking forward to it.
That's what's funny. Look at this.
Yeah, they're calling you?
Yeah. Even though we forgot to update Ed's email, his company, not that he checks it, but forgot to update his phone. So
I'm not that important anymore.
the only reason I wanted updated on his phone is so that I could get stuff on his calendar.
Yeah, that's great. I love your shirt, by the way. I caught that before I wanted to make mention. It's a great shirt.
So tonality in email is very interesting because we say there's no tone in email unless you see an exclamation or caps or something like that. I'm very interested. I can't wait to write my first email to Nerds when you have it up and running. I'm going to be conscious of what I'm thinking, and just Lorne and Dad.
Yeah.
The Nerds and I are very friendly and very helpful in, like he said, their customer success is very important, and so is ours. So we're very frank with one another and about our experiences on both ends, like how my team deals with his team and vice versa. So I am looking forward to that because I don't know how many other people are that honest with you, but I'll tell you, yeah, I was pissed, or no, I was just making a joke.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it. We'll let you know when it's up and running, hopefully by October 1.
So from the managed service perspective, James, writing code had to be huge on your end and costly. So Is AI where you want it to be, where you can trust it? Are you going to use it for that? Do you not want to talk about it because some of your team members may start looking for another job?
No, hey, it's all good. One of the misconceptions, I think, at least when I came out of school, everybody thought I was a programmer. So it's the number one misconception in my industry that we're not really programmers here, which is okay. There's plenty of work here at Nerds for all of our people, so we don't need to go down that road. But the one thing that we are using ChatGPT for is writing script automation, which is kind of like mini programs, really. As Lauren was saying before about an Excel formula, something so simple like I wanted to see how long my employees were working here for, right? So all I needed was their start dates, and I couldn't write the Excel formula. It would have taken me too long to figure out. I just popped it into ChatGPT and I said, write me an Excel formula that tells me how long someone's been working here if I plug in the start date. And I had my Excel built in 5 seconds. Other little scripts that I can go down a rabbit hole for automation that we're doing, onboarding forms, for example. We have custom onboarding forms for all our different clients. One software that you use, Joe, isn't the same software that another client uses. And we have to make these custom forms that have all this types of integration with our tools. So sometimes we need a little help there on the ChatGPT world. So it's super efficient. It just makes us a better company. I encourage all IT companies to do what we're doing. Obviously, all companies out there that need to do this sort of thing. So it's been phenomenal. And listen, what I used to maybe make a phone call to a developer when we needed it. Hey, can you help us write this piece of code for something? You don't need it anymore. It's pretty incredible.
It is. Just hearing you, I think about since 2017 when we started writing processes for the company, how much fun that was. And now it literally just gets super granular with what you want, plug in a couple of key pieces of colony stuff, but then just having ChatGPT write it.
Yeah. How often do you need like an NDA or something now? You don't have to call your attorney. You could literally just pump it in there. Help with your handbook. There's a million things that business owners need that now you don't really need to make the phone call, and you can just, hey, can you review this, what I wrote? Now you're sending a document to an attorney now just to give it the once over rather than write you the whole thing from scratch.
So for the scheduling piece, James, like you mentioned earlier about how it'll make it efficient and it could read the GPS and everything like that. How far away do you think we are for using AI for scheduling and routing?
I think we're there. As Lauren was saying before, it's about how to use the tool, how to ask it the right question or in the context, feeding it enough information for it to make that decision for you. I think where we're lacking is some of the programming now for these tools to exist in our real space. I was impressed. I can maybe only speak a little bit about my industry, finding this new CRM. When I found it, I was like, how long has this been out there and how did I not know about it? So that's definitely a thing in everybody's industry, I feel like. So it's just a little bit of research that you got to do. Heck, you may even be able to ask ChatGPT if something like that is out there for you. So again, I think it's about how to ask the right questions, getting a little bit outside of the box, out of your traditional thinking, right? And finding out what can be the best solution that's best fit for your business. I think we're there, Joe. Waze, right? When we're talking about GPS for a minute, it's really not AI, right? Because it's more crowd driven on the traffic patterns and things like that. So I think using some of that coupled with what you're talking about is we're right there.
Tesla has cameras. I don't even know where they all are. So when he finally gives up that data, if he ever does, that's potentially going to be another disruption because what he's capturing is crazy. Because he's
Yeah, it's so
capturing
true.
video as well as the patterns.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody else is really doing that. I know Google has those cars that drive around. I know Apple has one now too. But once that data is fully analyzed and released and I'm sure AI is working right now analyzing it, it's cool and scary, right? The scary part to think about because when the Terminators come, what the fuck up.
But that's it. I was out to dinner last night with 3 people, and I was telling them we were going to do this thing about artificial intelligence. And the number one thing came up. You think they're going to make soldiers out of it?
Yeah, they already are.
Probably. I don't. How do you?
Look at the police dogs, the robotic police dogs. It's all there. Excuse me. I think what we know is limited, right? Based on what they don't want us to know or what they don't tell us. Who is they is the question, right? But we won't go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I think it's already there. It's already there. And it is scary, Joe. You're right. But at the end, we have to embrace it. Lauren said it from the beginning of the show. If we're not going to embrace it, we're going to get left behind. And those companies that don't embrace AI are going to be left behind. And that's maybe a good thing for the three of us or four of us here.
Their main concern was, what if they turn on us? The only thing I could tell them was, I don't know. You pull the plug? I don't know.
Drain the batteries. They're probably solar operated. You got to,
Well,
you
let's
know.
know if they use the current batteries at some point,
Yeah,
they'll
they'll kill
go on
themselves.
fire. And that's a bad joke. But so we're talking a lot about Chat GPT. Is there any category king of AI is Chat GPT? But what other tools are you guys seeing or using in regard to AI?
So just you look at who funded and created ChatGPT, and Elon Musk was in there and Bill Gates was in there. And so what we're seeing is Bing, being Microsoft's search engine, is integrated with ChatGPT. So there's basically a race between Microsoft and Google. Google's Bard is their version. Very interesting. What Google's has is the ability to reference sources. Whereas often with ChatGPT provides you the information, but when you challenge it to tell you its source, you start to unwind. Is this actually fact? Because it sure sounds like fact, but where are you pulling that fact from? Google's product does a better job of that. So reliability on Google's AI seems to be higher, but the consolidation of power here continues to be Google, Microsoft, and then there's all sorts of plugins, you name it. You can plug into Canva, I believe, which is just for people who do branding, start creating branding campaigns, or start creating a van design for my vehicle wraps. You name it, it's all available now. It's just a matter of what I find is people who are working in their business day to day have no time to think what's next. And that's where you need to make sure you have time spent. So being inside Bard and playing and asking it things every day, what we do with our staff at Search Kings, we work with a young staff, they're hungry, they're tech focused. We still ask them every day to have Bard or ChatGPT open and figure out a use case for it today. How did it make your job more effective? Not necessarily easier, but more effective today. I have an upcoming call with a customer and he's received 47 leads so far. How do I talk to him about qualifying the quality of those leads? What do I need from him in order to know if these leads are producing revenue? Give me 4 questions, right? Summary like that. Or Joe, think about your staff. You give them your employee handbook. Put that into Bard or ChatGPT and say, produce for me a 10-question quiz. Include both short answers and multiple choice. And then that's just the first version. And now you prompt it to create a second version and a third until you're very happy, or create a case scenario for me that would highlight if they've understood these 7 things I want them to learn. So now it's creating a case study quiz for you. It's just about time to learn. I'd say that's the priority.
Yeah, and we use Microsoft Forms, and 2 of our managers essentially had to take a course on it. But my thought now is every time they tweak it, to just tell ChatGPT or Bard now, tell them how you want to tweak it and to write the code in MS Forms, especially because James, I think some of the nerds were going to sit down and go over it with them, but again, it might not be necessary anymore.
Hey, listen, I think everything is a little relative, right? When we talk about the cloud, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, right? But when you were dialing up to AOL back in the day, right? Everybody remembers that, at least the old guys on the call like me here remember dialing up to AOL. You were connecting to the cloud. We just didn't call it that. And I think one of the first, and maybe don't quote me on this, but one of the first AI generators was Watson, IBM's Watson. And people often forget about Watson, but Watson is still out there plugging away. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been out for a long time. It's just now we're adopting how to use it better. It's becoming more user friendly, right? It's now relative to people. We're used to using a search engine and searching on Google and such. So Chat GPT and others just makes it very easy. And I do agree with what Lauren is saying. And I think if you don't have the Bing app on your phone, go ahead and download that because it's free and you can go ahead and use a lot of those Chat GPT like features right inside the Bing app.
You know, I'll give you one suggestion on utilization that I've found is helpful. For those employees that have kids, ask them to spend some time with their kid looking at ChatGPT and figuring out use case with their kids. How are their kids using it? And an example would be you got a kid in high school and they're in, I don't know, grade 11 chemistry, right? And they have to learn a certain topic, whatever it is, electrons. You type into ChatGPT, explain electrons to me for my grade 11 course, okay? It spits out an answer. The kid doesn't understand it. So what do? They say, explain this to me as though I'm 10 years old. ChatGPT provides an explanation. Explain it to me as though I'm 7 years old, 5 years old. I still don't understand. Make it easier for me. And ChatGPT will rewrite the same question you had originally down into based on your next prompt. So it's customizing. Once that it's being used at that level, you can start to learn it can customize for you too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it like what I'm getting is you're limited to your imagination and how good of a question asker or how good you can describe what you want.
For the most part, yeah.
For those people in golf, think about it. You're working on your putting. Write your problem in there. I'm pushing left on my putter, or I'm always pulling up short, right? I'm not lagging properly, and see what it says. That's how you start to get comfortable with it, and then keeping it open every day to try to find use cases. For us, knowing where marketing dollars are going and if it's working is game changing for our business. Up until now, it was how many leads do you need, and let's go get them for you as cheap as possible. Now, whether the lead is $100 or $150 is secondary to what's the quality of the lead coming in. So
I wonder, is there a way to ask, what is the best platform for commercial pest control or pure play residential pest control to put its marketing dollars, or is that too much?
It's going to be subjective, but I'll tell you this. You could ask ChatGPT high socioeconomic neighborhoods, okay? And what are the local icons or local fixed points in those communities, because I want to market to specifically the Hamptons and I want to be seen as local. What is it, some things that locals know or say that I could use in my marketing that would make me seem like a local? But it's not going to analyze 4 products and tell you which one to go with, because they don't have access to evaluate the technology of each provider.
It will give you some good answers, but just like Lauren said, it won't give you that specific data that you're looking for.
And that's now. Next week is different, right? Because the biggest thing that we're hearing from our community at Colony Confidential is how obvious efficiency. Everybody always says more money, but efficiency equals more money in our industry. Utilization, efficiency, how to get it going. And it seems like that's it, that we're limited to our imagination and what we can ask it to get us what we want.
Yep.
I can't wait. I'm gonna get him up and running on some of this just to see like how he fucks his phone.
I think I got a couple for Ed. It would be like, I want to write a poem. This is the audience. I want it to rhyme. And I want it to be about this place and this cold drink. And it'll write you a poem or a song. Get this, it'll write you a song, okay? And then I don't know if any of you play guitar or whatever. Then you can ask it to write the musical lyrics, not just the lyrics, but the sheet music what notes or string chords would accompany this original song. So now you can write a song to a sweetheart, sing it, and play the guitar to it.
On that note, when I went back to college so I could learn what all my kids were talking about, Gilgamesh and all these other guys, I had to write a haiku. So I went to Joey's brother, who's very good at this. So he wrote a haiku and I turned it in.
Allegedly. What's the statute of
No,
limitations
no,
on
it
that?
was true. It was 20 years. Anyway, I turned it into this teacher, Martha Black, lovely lady. And she marks it and she comes over to me. You came in third. I didn't know you were such a romantic. I'm like, shit, what did it say? What did it say?
And we go back to the proofreading.
That's great.
So we should plug something into ChatGPT real quick and see what it pops up. I got tons of notes. So I don't know who could answer this best, so whatever, chime in. Elimination of humans in the workplace. This is the big scare, right? Aside from them turning on us, but I saw something on social media the other day about how many years till it starts to eliminate certain jobs. Are you guys, is everybody hearing this? Do you think there's a timeline on that?
Yeah, it's happening already. Maybe not so much in the same context that we're talking about today. Hearing more about robotics and things like that, AI robots in a lot of these factories and things like that. It's already happening. Look at the Amazon warehouse. It's what they're doing there. And that might be one of the best examples. A few months ago, I went down to South Carolina and went over to where they build all the BMWs, and walking through their facility was absolutely incredible. Not a lot of people building the cars, all robotics, all AI driven. So it's already been happening for probably years. And then what we're talking about today, I think we gave a lot of examples where you don't need that attorney so much. You don't need the programmer, the developer. So as people start to learn how to utilize these tools for their businesses, it's just going to make them more efficient. But I think all of us here on this call today, we're in the people business. And like you said, it might be one of the hardest businesses, of course, to manage people and to be in that business. But we're going to be able to utilize these tools to make our businesses more efficient and probably do less hiring. So I think we're there, and some of these larger companies have been there for a while.
My quick take on it is the employees and the businesses that embrace are much more valuable when they utilize AI, and the employees who have a little bit of an entitled mindset of this is what I do, this is my job, full stop, they're going to have an issue because the entire workforce is changing. So a content writer who says, I'm going to keep writing it myself exclusively is outdated now if they're not leveraging tools. A lawyer who's billing 15 hours to do something that ChatGPT or Bard can do in a few minutes, you're outdated. We think about a pest control company, you got to go to that house and assure that lovely family that you're taking care of it if that problem shows up again, right? Eliminated it this time, but it might come back and you're a phone call away. That's not AI. So I put Colony Confidential's website and I said, give me a slogan for Colony Confidential. Okay. So then it produced the first one, whatever it was, I can tell you if you want. Then I said another, it produces another one. Then I said, give me 5 more. So you can just keep going at it. I like this, but I don't like that. Securing homes, shielding stories, Colony Confidential. Mystery solved, pests evicted, Colony Confidential. However, and they're like, don't end with Colony Confidential. Start with Colony, and you could just keep manipulating it to be your creative brain.
Yeah, so it's funny. I've typed in to ChatGPT before, who is Ed Sheehan? And I'm gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna show Ed real quick, right?
Yeah.
What do you want to ask ChatGPT? Yeah, so we'll ask it. Who is Ed Sheehan in New York City? This is how quick it happens. You go and press this button.
So one sec, what you're doing, Joe, is looking for reference, right? Go into the internet and find me something. That's more of a Google search. But if you put a description of Ed and ask it to produce a poem about Ed's life, okay, based on some information you share, it's best used as new content creation, better than referencing previous easily found information on the internet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's about new content creation. That's the power of AI, right? Making new Jim Carrey movies is what it's for, not referencing which of the 5 movies in your list is the best one. That's more of a Google search.
Try something simple. Write me a thank you note to a very important customer and see what it spits out really quick for you guys. Or do something relevant, maybe customer facing that you could use.
Announcing a podcast episode.
Right.
So what did we want to write? Ed Sheehan is the New York City exterminator, wrote Fixed Experience. Write a poem for him based off his life. Very simple, right? And the poem is, in the heart of the city where dreams unfold, of man of unique prowess, a story untold.
Gee, I
Ed
like this.
Sheehan, the exterminator of fame, with 50 years wisdom, he conquered his game. Amidst the bustling streets of NYC embrace, Ed battled Pest with a determined grace. With skills honed by decades of pest-filled strife, he safeguarded homes from the vermin's strife. Rats scuttled and roamed, a change so dire. Ed stepped up with courage, his spirits on fire. A veteran of battles against nature's design, he faced every rodent, both cunning and malign. In Morgan Spurlock's lens, a spotlight did shine. Rats on the screen, a tale intertwined. Ed Sheehan, the star of this cinematic scene, a life spent in service, his dedication keen. 50 years they have passed, each chapter of feat, Ed's legacy etched in the streets concrete. From pest-ridden alleys to homes now secure, his expertise prevailed, of that we are sure. So here's to Ed Sheehan, a legend of might, an exterminator's beacon, a guardian of the night. With gratitude, we raise our voice and our hat, saluting the man who kept NYC's pests at bay. That's it. I don't know why it ended there. That didn't rhyme. But
Can you print that?
I printed. I'll
take
put it on a
dozen
platform.
copies.
But
That was awesome.
That's amazing. You could keep that one, but then you could say, make it shorter or manipulate it. Include the fact that the company started in this year or that he went to this high school, and then it'll keep evolving with you so that you can keep molding it to what you want. That's the power. Google can't do that.
yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to see him in his corner. And all of a sudden he's coming up with these gems that are all not his. They'll all be trash.
That's right. That's how it goes.
That's okay.
So what do you
I feel
think?
like a regular politician. What do I think? Yeah, I need some copies of that so I can,
Yeah, okay.
but it's just amazing. God.
Really is. Changing
So-
the world, like you said, disruptor.
Lauren, thank you for reminding me that the internet was a huge disruptor too. I remember when I graduated high school, the year I graduated and actually started taking school serious, I had to write a paper on the World Wide Web. I don't even remember what it was called now. It wasn't called the internet, it was called something else. I had to go to a library. I had to use the Dewey Decimal System. I had to go through those reels of newspaper articles. I guess that was the last disruption of this nature. So to wrap it up, Lauren, is there a name for that particular product that you're doing, or is it just call Search Kings and let's get cracking with AI?
It's called Search Kings introduces call intelligence, which is the ability to learn the quality of calls coming in.
Okay.
So call intelligence. And yeah, we'd be happy to demo it for just make sure that whoever's calling mentions you guys, as
So,
always.
James, is there anything that you want to mention aside from your managed services that Colony co-signs and is having a fabulous time with?
I appreciate that. We're here to help mostly small to medium-sized businesses with all their technology. We're across 50 states, so it doesn't matter where you are. Happy to help. Look us up on the web at nerdsthatcare.com. mention Colony, of course, and we'll be sure to take care of you just like we're taking care of Colony today. So thanks so much for having me here today. I really enjoyed this chat, guys.
Yeah, thank you both. Again, James Rocca from Nerds That Care. You can nerdsthatcare.com. You can Google them. And of course, Lorne Sederoff from Search Kings. Always been a big supporter of the podcast, Lorne. We appreciate it. We appreciate both of you for jumping on this. A ton of information. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. I learned a lot more than I knew. That doesn't mean I know a lot, but I learned a lot more than I knew. And you have a very good way, understandable way of presenting this information. I appreciate it. And I'm looking to get on, what is it, AIP?
Don't worry about it. It's all right.
Whatever. I wrote it down. Oh, TB.
Chat?
No, TBD.
No, that's to be determined.
Oh,
It's chat. Chat. Let me write it for you. Chat GPT or
okay. I'll be on that a lot.
so I gotta go like an artificial intelligence. So I gotta tell ChatGPT, explain it on like a 3rd grade level, 1st grade, infantile. Okay, now go to Ed Sheehan's level of technology level. Oh, okay.
It's not far from wrong because sometimes my granddaughter comes over and come here, show me what's wrong here. And you're playing with it for a couple of days and they just, there you go.
3 seconds. Amazing.
Anyway, I thank you. We got to wrap it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. Ed Sheehan for Colony Confidential. Until we meet again, God bless you.